Well, I did say I was gonna finish the Dark Crystal show. Have not done it. I only watched one episode because when I went to watch it last night, I was a little tired. I passed out. And I drank like 3 cans of Coke to keep me awake. Ugh. Yeah, I let my body have it. I let my body have what it wanted. It wanted to sleep, so I'm like, okay, body, I'm gonna listen to you. Let you get your sleep. Then we can talk about this another time. So I only watched the first episode. And after watching this first episode, I kind of realized that, honestly, I should review these episodes individually. Which I was going to do anyways, but I was going to give you like a first impressions video, kind of like I did with Stranger Things Season 3. Which I know I haven't started reviewing all the episodes. But that's because I still have not reviewed Season 1 and Season 2. Because I've been at my grandparents lately and I'm not there, I'm not home where my set is to watch it and blah 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 blah. And blah 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 blah. I'm not making regular scheduled content like that right now. But I gotta say, this episode was actually probably the most problematic episode, I would guarantee, from the entire show. So if you don't know Dark Crystal, it's this film Jim Henson made back in the 80s. It was a financial flop. It's a cult classic now. It's very problematic. I have a review on my Vimeo channel of this movie, and it's actually pretty good. It's pretty good when it comes to the puppetry, but in terms of like a film, yeah, it's not good. It's quite the pacing's quite bad. Jim Henson intended the movie to have characters speaking. And, he didn't intend the characters to speak during the film. And when he realized nobody could understand what they were saying because they were just making random noises, he dubbed in dialogue. And so they had to count, like, the mouth movements of all the puppets and dub in words. And it's kind of incredible that you don't even notice in the original movie, but it's very, very bad dialogue. Just because it was last minute dialogue that wasn't supposed to be there, and it's only there to explain stuff, and they kind of overly explain stuff because of the test screenings that happened and stuff like that. I don't know. It's a really weird movie, and I think that's why it's become such a cult classic. Is movies that are really weird. Even like Troll 2 is like a really bad movie, but it's really weird, and people just get into stuff like that. And I'm a big fan of the movie. I just like Jim Henson's work. I love his other cult classic movie, Labyrinth, which, is not as much of a cult classic as Dark Crystal because of the fact that it actually was a financial success, and more people have seen the movie. But so it's actually more popular of the two, I would say. But, also David Bowie's in it, so enough reason to watch it. And so, I read the prequel comics that came out. And these were actually set even before Dark Crystal, the movie and the Netflix series, actually. And they're actually really, really good. I highly recommend those. I'm sure I think there's like 3 hardcovers that you could probably order on Amazon, like Volume 1, Volume 3. Read them all. Very good stuff. Not necessary, but if you want more Dark Crystal stuff, that's just like a really good thing to read. This Netflix series. So let's get into this. So this is set before Dark Crystal, which means that you do not have to have read the comics that are set before this show, and then you don't have to watch the movie that's set after this show. Which what I thought they were going to do is I thought they were going to adapt the comics, the prequel comics, and tell everything from there. But I should have guessed from the title that they weren't going to do that, because it's called Age of Resistance. And the reason this show is called Age of Resistance, because it's about the Gelflings rising up against the Skeksis. Because in this episode, you see how the Skeksis are oppressing the Gelflings. What the hell is that noise? I'm so sorry. I can't cut this out. I can't. I have no idea where that's coming from. I'm sure it's the neighbor. We're just gonna wait until he's done because I can't go in the house and record this review. I can't. Okay, so he stopped. So let's get back into... Well, he's still gone, but you can hear me a little bit clearer now. So yeah, this first episode, you see how the Skeksis are being oppressed. I mean, not the Skeksis, the Gelflings are being oppressed by the Skeksis. And they're trying, and there's a group of them that are kind of going to rise up against them throughout the process of the show. And the Skeksis are trying to figure out ways that they can live forever using the power of the crystal. And they kill a Gelfling. And they just... there are going to be some spoilers in this, but like... I will warn you, but just be warned that there's spoilers. If you just don't want to know any information about the show, just leave now. The film is very... I mean, not film. The episode is an hour. It's the longest episode in the season. There's only 10 episodes. Each one's like an hour long. This one's like a little over an hour. It's like, I think like a couple extra minutes. I don't know. And it's and it does a great job at the beginning, kind of explaining the universe, what's going on, what's going on, and you don't need to see anything else Dark Crystal or read anything else Dark Crystal to watch this. So you got these characters who, you know, like I said, that's what's going on in this episode, and the Skeksis are still the best characters. I would say the Gelflings have some really bad dialogue. Like, there's parts of their dialogue I'm like, stop. Just stop talking. Like, the main character and his little girlfriend in this episode, they have some really bad dialogue. And they do that thing that Jen and Kira did in the original Dark Crystal, where they, like, touch each other, and they can kind of... This isn't really a spoiler, it doesn't even matter. Where they could see each other, and then they're like, oh, we formed a relationship, blah, blah. It's like, why didn't you just make an extra episode showing this? Why do you have to, like, do this in the most lazy, stupid way possible? Like, I make fun of that when I watch the original movie. It's so stupid in the original movie. It's a stupid thing that they get, power that they gave the Gelflings, and I don't know why they brought it back for any reason. It's bad. And, you know, the puppetry is still phenomenal. In fact, it's even better than the original movie. It's absolutely phenomenal stuff. Like, amazing work. But the Skeksis are still the best characters because of they have the most interesting... They have political battles. They're the most educated and sophisticated, and they're just kind of evil bastards who just, like... being evil bastards, and it's just hilarious. Chamberlain's in this show from the original movie. You know, the one that gets gang raped? I'm just kidding. But that's, after watching that episode of Sardonicast, which is a podcast, they talked about Dark Crystal, and they called that the Muppet gang rape scene, and now I can't help but want to call it that. But, you know, it's actually... I swear, I'm so sorry for that noise in the background. I am so pissed off right now. But, you know, the whole episode's pretty good. It's just the pacing and some of the dialogue. The dialogue got better the more the episode went on, though. In fact, some of it was actually alright. enjoyed this episode quite a bit. I thought it was entertaining. And the Skeksis were the most interesting part. I feel like they should just make a show about the Skeksis and forget anything else. I'm just kidding, but still, we'll see how it goes, because I think because the Gelflings have interesting setups to where they could go later. You got the one who's questioning the Skeksis' rules and things, and whether this is right or morally unjust, and then you got the one who's lost somebody because of the Skeksis, and then you got another one that's like hearing things from the magic tree. Not really a spoiler because you don't know who dies and all that stuff. But let's talk about the ending of this episode. We saw these two Gelflings. They were a couple. And in the original movie, there's a scene where like Kira gets her soul sucked out of her, right? They explain why that happens in the show. It's because the Skeksis want to live forever, so they suck out their essence so that they can just drink it and live forever. So they murdered a Gelfling. She exploded right in front of her boyfriend's eyes. Not even joking. This happened. It's freaking messed up. So messed up. And the episode ends with one of the Gelflings running away. And how the Skeksis talk about how the Gelflings are weak and they need someone to rule over them. I guarantee this show is going to climax in a big battle where all the Gelflings go extinct. But I don't know if this can make it past the first season. This show is based on a cult classic movie, which means it's already not a very well-known movie. Yes, people like it, but it's cult classic. Cult classics are not usually majorly popular movies. Some of them are very popular. Like, I would kind of consider Bill and Ted a cult classic, stuff like that. But I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know if this can make it past the first season. I like this episode. I want to see the rest. Super excited to review the rest. But this is a cult classic. It may get canceled by Netflix, and this show looks very expensive. There is a lot of CGI. Yes, there's a lot of puppetry. And the CGI is very impressive for a television budget. It's not, and it's even, I could even watch this on the big screen and not bat an eye too much, honestly. It's almost that good. And so I don't know how long this show is going to be running. At the most, I could see this running 2 seasons, getting cut off at a cliffhanger, and then people being pissed. But that's just what's going to happen. This is one of those, Dark Crystal is one of those properties, yes, that is a lot of people love, but it's a cult classic though. This isn't a movie where you could tell your boss Carlos at work, hey, did you see that new Dark Crystal TV show? It's based on a really awesome movie. Your boss Carlos probably doesn't know what you're talking about. Neither does your buddies. Neither do your friends at the hood do. I don't know what I'm saying. But I'm just saying that's not a very popular movie. And I don't know what's going to happen. But in terms of a setup to a series, this is a good setup. It has its problems, pacing, some dialogue. But again, the pacing and the dialogue get better the more the episode goes along. It gets more interesting. And, it's one of those things that was just, I really enjoyed watching. And I want to see more. And if you're a fan of Dark Crystal, watch this. If you're not already a fan of Dark Crystal, I don't know if this is going to sway your mind, because this does have some of the bad things about Dark Crystal. Like I said, the pacing, some of the dialogue, some of that stupid dream thing, that, stuff like that. Though it does explain the universe better than the original Dark Crystal, which is an A+ on my book, and the characters are not just saying random stupid stuff. Yes, they'll occasionally do that. So let me know your thoughts. Like, share, subscribe, and help us save the Gelflings.